Okay, so I feel like it is about time for this video. There has been quite a sizable amount of information released ever since my last Blue Protocol compilation video, and I would love to go ahead and compile all of the information that is currently available to us into one big kind of like FAQ video. Plus, in my last video that I did, I think it was last week or the week before, regarding the most recent live stream from Blue Protocol, I had a ton of people ask me, "Hey Stix, is Blue Protocol free to play? Hey Stix, when is Blue Protocol coming to the West?" This is going to be an all-encompassing, hopefully easy to digest look into Blue Protocol, so you're probably going to want to take a moment here and sit back. This is likely going to be a bit of a long video, but by the time you make it through it, you should have every single question that you have answered. So with that in mind, I urge you to go ahead and attempt to sit through as much of this as you possibly can. Before we go any further though, I would like to stress two different things real quick. One, we have a dedicated Blue Protocol subreddit specifically for anything and everything related to Blue Protocol. If you want to go ahead and join the community, we're already at almost 15,000 members and are currently the largest Blue Protocol community on Reddit. And two, when the next Blue Protocol beta is available, we're going to be streaming it over on Twitch. So if you're not already, follow us over on Twitch and join us for future streams. Now, Blue Protocol is an upcoming anime-themed action MMORPG. The game is being developed by Bandai Namco, who is responsible for countless AAA RPG titles over the years. The game is being built as an anime MMO as opposed to a fully 3D MMO because, well, if you look at their list of games, it's obvious that this is the graphical style that they are most known for. And let me assure you, it works wonderfully. The game is beautiful. There will be no need to purchase anything to play the game. It will be completely free to play, which is an interesting route to take considering the last popular MMO out of Japan, Final Fantasy XIV, is pay to play. While there is no fee required to play, they will be monetizing the game with an in-game cash shop. A cash shop that wasn't really functional during the closed beta that I took part in. They have promised that the cash shop will feature only cosmetic items and items that don't provide any kind of advantage to other players. But I am always highly pessimistic when there is a cash shop in an MMO, especially a free-to-play MMO, and even more so when they claim they're going to be free of pay to win and free of pay to advance. But I mean, everyone should be pessimistic of the same thing. This should be something that this should be a general state of mind that you should go into every free MMO with. The devs have been pretty quiet regarding any kind of release outside of Japan, but time and time again, they've expressed their interest in a globally accessible game, often exclaiming that it's something they're definitely in the process of working on over time. Do note that development of an MMO takes quite a few years, and while Bandai Namco definitely have a lot of experience in the field with how many Japanese players were upset with the current state of the game, it's still an unfortunate ways from launching, even in Japan. Last time I mentioned this, I had a lot of people leave comments in the comment section stating, you know what would have actually been really good if you had went into detail with what the Japanese players were dissatisfied with. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and dedicate a small portion of this video going over what Japanese players did not like about the closed beta. There were quite a number of reasons listed in their recent feedback report that they posted on their website earlier this week. Japanese players thought that the crafting process was incredibly slow and highly unrewarding, and when the entirety of Blue Protocol's gearing system revolves around crafting, you're going to want to make 100% certain that players are happy with the state it's in. Players thought that the character customization was lacking in customizable parts, something that they've already addressed, stating that there will be more options when customizing your character. Players felt that the combat was difficult and that there wasn't enough skills to really make your character unique, and that there were too many special effects going on simultaneously that made it difficult to see what was really going on. They found stats difficult to understand, had issues with monsters aggroing from large distances, and aggroing even if you out-leveled them by up to 20 levels. Boss fights were simple zergfests with players just spamming skills into them while they provided little in the way of difficulty, since there really wasn't much strategy involved. Then there were some UI issues, town complaints, and questing concerns, but otherwise those were the major issues that Japanese players had with the game. So with this surplus of overhauls necessary, additions, and the amount of features that they're going to have to expand on to appease the Japanese player base, while the game is not currently coming to the West this year, it isn't going to be coming to Japan this year either. And while they are working on a Western release, potentially global release of Blue Protocol, as they did state, we have said that it was intended to go global from the start, they're also working to finish the game for the Japanese audience first, as that is their core player base. Everyone that is keeping an eye on Blue Protocol should know of its 4 classes right now. the Aegis Fighter, the Twin Striker, the Blast Archer, and the Spellcaster. Initially, people were concerned that there would only be 4 classes available in-game, yet the team wanted to ensure players otherwise. We're currently working on new classes, they mentioned, however, they wouldn't elaborate on specifically what classes were being worked on. They've noted that players asked specifically for classes like Spear Wielders, so I guess if anything, that might be something that they're interested in introducing going into the future. They did note that classes will not be available until the game officially goes live, and that providing an acceptable level of class identity is what is most important to them right now. Because let's be honest here, guys, if you have like 10 different classes and all of them play more or less the same with a very similar selection of skills and abilities, what's the point in playing a different class other than having the addition of a different weapon? Like, that kind of defeats the purpose in playing anything else. You're literally just choosing a class purely because, you know, they go stabby stab with a sword as opposed to stabby stab with a dagger. This is made even more apparent when every class was actually given their own heals, completely eliminating the purpose, the need of having a dedicated healer in the game. I felt like Moonlight Blade pretty much did the same thing when I played it a few years ago. The only difference between any of the classes in that game were, once again, the weapon you had equipped. Everyone did pretty much the same thing otherwise. I don't really need to touch on skills all that much. There are skill trees, but for the most part, you move through it by unlocking skills and passives as they become available. This is where Japanese players thought that there was little variety in customizing your class. While they've stated that they plan on making classes more unique by adding in new abilities and tuning current ones, what is most important to many a player is the fact that they're actually doing the exact same thing with character creation. They've confirmed that they're going to be adding in the ability to customize additional sections of the body and increasing the options currently available per body part. They're adding in an aesthetic salon for players to customize their character further by providing even more options once you unlock them. I'm not sure how you go about unlocking the esthetician, but I'm guessing it functions much in the same way as they do in Final Fantasy XIV or World of Warcraft. There are currently outfits available to players to equip in-game, much like most MMOs. However, they were honestly quite limiting within the closed beta. I know I had people complain about their lack of selection while I was streaming, and I can completely and wholeheartedly concur. The selection of outfits was abysmal. However, they have confirmed that there will be many additional outfits for players to earn and purchase once the game goes live, including, most interestingly, the ability to customize your underwear. Yeah, I am not even joking here. Thank you, Japan, I guess? As I talked about earlier this week, they're allowing for players to channel their inner weird by providing you the ability to derobe yourself right down to and then customize your underwear. I'm sure a lot of you guys are potentially gonna be thrilled with this. Maybe, I'm not entirely certain. Yeah, but moving on. Combat is pure action. There is no tap target. There are no cycling through enemies. You look ahead of you and you hit what's around you. There's an aim assist for ranged classes, but I found it to be more of a hindrance than a benefit. It would lock on to a single target ahead of me and prevent me from lining up targets so I could hit multiple at once, AoE cleaving them all down. The hotbar for your abilities is also surprisingly low, which I found a little bit disconcerting. I mean, I hate games that throw 100 different skills at you. World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV still give me PTSD with all the skills they have, but games like The Elder Scrolls Online providing you a couple of abilities only, while sure it does prevent you the ability to more uniquely customize your character, ultimately ends up inhibiting you more than it does anything else. Abilities look incredible though. My archer pulled off some pretty sick looking skills on the way to level 20, and I know that the spellcaster has some of the best looking abilities in the game. Seriously though, like when we were engaged with a field boss out in one of the zones, I saw the spellcaster literally like shoot a meteor down from the sky, and I will admit, wow, I smacked my armchair real hard there, but I will admit, like when I saw that coming down, I near pooped myself because we're fighting a giant boss and there's this insanely large meteor coming crashing down, and I thought the boss had actually triggered like an area-wide attack and it was gonna come down and just smash into all of us and murder us all. And then like 10 seconds later, I saw another one and I was like, oh, well, that's really unfair. The mage has this insane ability to fire meteors down from the sky. Here I am like shooting tiny little arrows at him. So yeah, the spellcaster, really awesome looking abilities, which is why I'm going to be maining the spellcaster when the game launches. Just an FYI. Combat does not just involve your abilities though, since there's a unique imagine system in place, providing players the option of Pokemonifying monsters, catching them out in the wilderness and turning them into slaves you summon in battle to do your bidding. They provide additional effects and are equipped like you would gear and enhancements. It's an interesting addition to the game, and I hope they go much deeper than what I saw, as it was definitely a little shallow. There are also dungeons currently available in game, but again, Japanese players actually found them to be fairly generic and commented that not only were they difficult to navigate without a map, but were also kind of uninspired and definitely too easy. While I did have some difficulty in one of the dungeons, I can see how they would be too easy to tackle with a full group of players. Although according to the statistics that Bamco released, almost half of the entire player base did dungeons solo, so I'm guessing that the ease of difficulty they have is with the solo experience mostly as opposed to the cooperative experience. Raids right now were in the form of large-scale boss fights. I was never at my PC streaming when they took place, but I did see some videos of the raids, and holy, they actually looked incredible. I cannot wait to get to experience those, but at the same time, I truly hope that they're more than just boss fights. To me, they seemed a little reminiscent of Kurtzbell's boss fights, and while that is definitely a good thing, I do prefer having raids consist of more than just boss encounters. As this is a Japanese MMO, you can bet that there's going to be a plethora of story to sit through. Take Phantasy Star Online 2 and Final Fantasy XIV as examples of how much story text can be found within a Japanese MMO. The game starts you off with a lengthy cutscene introducing you to several of the characters. Then as you continue to level throughout the first several levels, you're introduced to even more of the cast. The story gets you very involved, especially considering your character responds and has a semblance of a personality, something that almost every MMO to date is missing. Your character isn't just some emotionless, empty shell of a human being. Instead, you seem to be a living, breathing character within the world that you're playing in, and I feel that this is a fantastic way of playing through the game, both solo if you prefer, and with a group, and I am glad that content promotes either form of playstyle. I don't feel like I need to really elaborate on crafting any more than I already have. You craft your weapons in-game, as crafting is the only method with which you can obtain new gear. Boss monsters won't drop gear, you can't find it via chests or get as quest rewards. Crafting is the only way to obtain anything gear related, and the one single thing I absolutely hate doing in every MMO is, you guessed it, crafting. So that is a major bummer to me, but you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and attempt it anyway, because that is, gonna be the only way I can really go about it, getting any kind of gear or being competitive in any form or fashion. What I do want to talk about though is PvP. I know some of you out there are of the opinion that PvP is the most important thing in an MMO, and I'm sure to you it definitely is. But after what, 4 streams now, 5 streams, Bamco have repeatedly overlooked the PvP aspect of the game because the Japanese player base are just not into it. This is evident in their most recent round of feedback. Nobody asked for PvP. Nobody claimed that the game was lacking PvP. Nobody has even been discussing it because for the most part, it is a non-factor. Japan just is not into having PvP as a feature, at least pertaining to player versus player. Sure, they have PvP in the form of party versus party, but that's something completely different. PvP in Blue Protocol pits every group against one another in a competitive ladder to see who can clear waves of monsters the fastest. There are tiered rewards depending on how quick you can clear, and as stated, there is a competitive ladder so that you can keep track of which teams are the most efficient at the content, but that's about as competitive as content will get for the foreseeable future. There are a few other things worth noting. Guilds were not implemented within the most recent closed beta test, but Bamco have promised that they will be present in the final version of the game. The mount system with its ridiculous stamina consumption is going to be looked at, but each mount has its own stamina gauge, and as such, they want to encourage changing between mounts regularly while out exploring the world. Unfortunately, they have not dated a follow-up stream after their most recent one. I'm aware that having to schedule a live stream and setting that specific date and then having to meet that deadline is going to be very difficult to do, especially with how everything is going on in the world right now. But at the same time, it would have still given a lot of people something to look forward to, even if you could just kind of narrow it down to like the month. Generally, Bamco have been pretty good at remaining communicative with the community, and that's something that I give them kudos for. This is something that a lot of developers could learn a thing or two from, as is their ability to listen to their community and to make alterations to the game to make their community happy. But at the end of the day, the most important thing for them is to remember that they had a vision for the game, and as players, we are never going to be completely happy, completely satisfied with the end result. Continuing to cater to the player base by repeatedly setting the game back time and time again in the hope that eventually, one day we are going to like every facet of the game will ultimately result in us never getting the game. But you know what? Blue Protocol, it looks incredible, it looks amazing, and I cannot wait for the next live stream. I cannot wait for the next beta test, and I cannot wait to finally get to play this game with Mrs. Stix and with all of you. But that is everything you guys need to know about the game right now. There isn't anything more you guys need to know about the game until their next live stream. Hopefully this satiates your thirst for information, and hopefully you're equally as excited, if not even more excited, for the future. But that's just my opinion, my impressions of the game right now. What do you guys think though? Are you still looking forward to the game? Does this look like something, does this look like a direction that you're happy with? Let me know down in the comments below, and let's talk about it. Anyway guys, that is it for me. I am exhausted. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you know, subscribe for more videos like this and everything, and I'll see you guys next time.
Someday soon, I'm gonna make it.